Hello, movie and TV fans? Now that Apple TV The Changeling has ended, I want to do a deep dive on some details I'm sure we all missed on our first watch and dive into a character breakdown of Apollo's friend Patrice Green. In this video, we are going to discuss his first introductions and possible ulterior motives and if, like other characters, he is some sort of dark world creature. Of course, before we begin, please remember to like and subscribe. The Changeling is a horror series on Apple TV+. It's based on Victor Laval's best-selling novel. The series is set in an alternate New York City. It follows the courtship and married life of Apollo and Emma. The finale of The Changeling ends on a cliffhanger. In the final moments, Apollo and Emma arrive at different parts of the forest in Little Norway. Apollo enters a lush green area. Emma finds a carousel in the middle of nowhere, hinting that she has finally arrived at the location where the abducted children are taken. On today's breakdown, I want to talk about Apollo's seemingly loving friend, Patrice Green. In Season 1, we are introduced to Patrice when Apollo went to the estate sale in NJ with a cold, sarcastic greeting, and even though Patrice himself had already been there and said he left the basement for Apollo. Did he do this because he had already been working with William aka Kinder Garden as one of the 10,000 men, and this was how they were all going to further involve themselves in this adventure to get revenge for their wives who committed infanticide? When we look at this situation, Apollo found the book and ended up giving it to Patrice anyway, who introduced him to William. Popular Reddit theory: when Patrice invited Apollo to the home in NJ to search for books, he set the place up, and that was where Brian was taken. At that home in the basement. If we look at the scene, Patrice is leaving when Apollo is arriving, and when Apollo goes into the basement, he hears a noise in the back of the room, but ignores it. The theory also says that Patrice set everything up as well, including the cloning of the phones that belonged to Emma and Apollo, which is why Emma was getting the photo messages, and then the messages disappeared. This makes sense, since Patrice was with Apollo at the house in NJ, where the first photo was sent to Emma. In the following scene at the bookstore, presumably the next day, Patrice awkwardly mentions to Apollo that he was happy he brought the kid, not once but 2x. It seemed like a friendly gesture first watch, but on my 2x watch, it just seemed well creepy. Then Apollo leaves the scene to maybe go find another section in the bookstore, but Patrice stays. Then we see a person walk past the camera that seems to catch Patrice's eye, and he follows after the shadow. We don't see where Patrice went or who he talked to, but now we know it was probably William or one of the affiliated men from kindergarten. The next situation we see is an inside look of Patrice's house, and it's a cyber cave with multiple servers, monitors, and computer equipment. Later, we find out that Patrice is Green Hair Harry on the Facebook Friends Book admin for the hate group taunting Apollo. William exposed this side of Patrice. Patrice could be one of those men on the dark web computer screen because that's soundproof room. We saw the person who appeared to be William in this scene have a computer setup very similar to Patrice's room in his house. In episode 4, we see Patrice extremely uncomfortable when he found out the meeting was on a boat, even saying, "No one said anything about a boat." Then, when Patrice reluctantly gets on the boat and the three of them are sitting and talking, William reveals that he builds apps, and Patrice asks if he's a coder. William responds with his computer setup, and Patrice starts to respond to his basement computer setup, but is cut off by Apollo. If we look at Patrice's computer cave later in episode 4, we see his setup includes multiple servers, computer parts, additional motherboards, and hard drives. It looks like he was building computers and I'm sure dark web activities. This is proven when Apollo goes to Patrice with an encrypted file from William that he can't open, and William opens it right up. The fact that Patrice was able to access that information so easily and quickly is a red flag. Also, taking into consideration that his walls are covered in aluminum foil to block his heat signature and avoid being tracked. I looked this up, and it looks like this is not used to block his signature, but wrapping your walls with foil actually boots your signal. If we look behind his pop-ups, it looks like he's running some sort of interactive, intelligent panel software that integrates a task manager, application manager, and tool manager all in one. You can also customize configuration and management to make it easier to find what you use. We also see a clip where Patrice is using the Tracebuster Buster, which is a device used by deception engineering to stop ransomware. which is ransomware is a malware designed to deny a user or organization access to files on their computer. The device allows the user to defeat the tracebuster and trace the call to its origin. This is deep-level hacker stuff. When we found out about Patrice's online activities, at first I didn't understand his screen name, which is Green Hair Harry. When I saw his screen name, I thought it was a clue and I wanted to know what it meant. Now, before I answer, take a guess. What could it mean? Well, let's see. Patrice is a military and he seems a little grouch. How about the Grinch? Yes, the Grinch. Think about it, the Grinch has green hair and Patrice's last name is Green, and according to his friend's book profile, he also lives on Mount Crumpet. Can you guess who else lives on Mount Crumpet? That's right, the Grinch. Another key indicator that Patrice was up to something was when he brokered the deal with the sale of the book and went with Apollo to deliver it, but was extremely skeptical when William took them on a boat. Patrice went on the boat, but did not go with them to the invisible island. He knew Apollo and William were on the boat going to the island, and I'm guessing he didn't want to go with them because he didn't want to go out on the water, and I'm thinking he knows that William is a monster or socializes with monsters and knew he could flip any second, and that Patrice himself is some sort of monster as well. When Apollo goes to Patrice's house and tells him William sent him encrypted files and that him and William are going to an island on the East River, Patrice says, "What is this guy helping you for? What's in it for him?" Assumingly, he knew this type of quid pro quo. That scene in Patrice's house is the last scene we saw of Patrice, but assumingly, if he had been following Apollo, he wasn't too far behind, watching from a distance, tracking or following him through his phone or some other sort of deceptive engineering. Other fan theories have assumed that in this world of the Changeling there are witches. We know them to be the washwoman in Brazil, Cal, and her army of mothers, dragons, or some kind of flying creatures that either are William or was conjured by him, as well as trolls that live under the city and subways, like Wheels. Patrice might be one of these creatures or a part of what we know as kindergarten because they said they are made up of 10,000 men. On behalf of the Movie Guru and Movie Guru Media, I want to thank you for watching this video. Of course, we'd love to know what you think about the Changeling and Patrice. Is he Apollo's loving veteran friend? Or is he something more devious? As always, let's discuss in the comments, and please remember to like and subscribe for more Guru content.